Hi, this is Jack Stanley, and this is 2.5 Minutes of History. In October of 1999, I had the opportunity to spend a little bit of time with Tony Randall, the actor, at his home on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. There we sat and chatted about many different things. Of course, we talked about recordings, we talked about actors, we talked about music, we talked about composers, we talked about everything. It was really a wonderful, wonderful time. I also came with Jerome Hines, the operatic basso, who joined me, and the three of us would just chat for quite a while. It was really very enjoyable. But we were talking about actors. And Tony Randall told us that he had worked as an actor since he was 17 years of age, and professionally by the time he was 18. And he was working backstage when he was younger. And he happened to talk about the great actors he had seen. And he said the only actor he ever saw that he would truly call a genius was a fellow by the name of Wilfrid Lawson, an actor not well known in the United States, but he was English. And he was appearing in the Barretts of Wimpole Street, 1935. And Tony Randall was always backstage for the performance. And he said at the last act, when he showed his daughter his true love for her, his face would turn an ugly purple blush. It would start from his neck and go all the way up to his hairline. And he did it every performance. He said he was such an actor, he drew everybody in the cast together and made them as great as he was. He said it was the most impressive thing he ever saw on stage. He mentioned also that other actors he had worked with were incredible as well. He talked about George C. Scott and doing a lot of shows with George C. Scott. But he said the big problem with George C. Scott, he said cocktail time started at 9 a.m. and you weren't quite sure if he was going to make it. But often he did. And he said the drunks were always the best. And he said Wilfrid Lawson, he was also a drunk too. But he was phenomenal. The drunks were always the best. Interesting thing in that conversation with Tony Randall, now so long ago. And that's about 2.5 minutes of history.